can be another man's poison. So they want us to eat their poison of homosexuality. And we're saying no. So we want people to show how they feel, because I don't know how they have. So on January 19th, there's been a task force that met of religious leaders, and we realize it's Christmas time, but we had to send a message, a strong message out, and we did yesterday. Thanks for the coverage. But there was an agreement. People are saying, no, I have to show that I support my president, that I support my parliament, that I support my culture. And so on January 19th, we are going to have a couple of days where Ugandans will show how they feel about this issue of homosexuality.
Right.
So we are going to have people coming from all over the country, converging on the city. Even other cities, there's going to be shows of expression of support. So we're expecting more than 3 million people to show up that day, maybe 5. But this is an issue that people feel very deeply and passionately about.
Okay, great. And let me go to Honorable Bahati. You seem a lot more. I mean, on the outset, you seem a quiet, harmless fellow who was nothing, who would never harm anybody else, and then you come up with this private members bill and causing a ruckus all over the world. Just give us a brief background. What was the rationale behind this particular bill that you came up with?
Two aspects to this. The first aspect is that the Constitution of Uganda prohibits same-sex marriage. The Penal Code Act talks about and outlaws unnatural behavior against the order of nature, but it falls short of mentioning specifically homosexuality. Yet on the other side, we know that homosexuality has become a big issue. It's a creeping evil in our society. There's a lot of recruitment of single-sex schools, in single-sex schools, of our children. There is also a lot of promotion of this evil in our society. And at the same time, the population of Uganda, 95% of Ugandans oppose homosexuality. So it is really a summation of the aspiration and values of Ugandans. So the bill comes in to bridge the gap in the legal system, but fulfill the aspiration of people who do not support homosexuality.
So you're saying that you're not introducing anything new, really, because already the Constitution actually prohibits it, and the Penal Code as well prohibits it, and therefore you're simply trying to put the icing on a cake that's already existent.
It's not simply. It's not simply just to add, but there are things that are already not that are not in the Penal Code Act that are necessary for us to look at. For example, if you talk about promotion of homosexuality, it's not covered in the existing law. If you talk about homosexuality itself in specific terms, comparing it to the gravity of the problem, it's not handled in the current laws. So it is coming in here to strengthen the current law, but also to give it a boost to catch areas which are not already covered in the law.
Great. And just before I go to Martin once again, just give us a brief about what a private members bill is, because I'm sure many of our viewers might not quite understand. Say, private members bill, what is that? How do we differentiate it from other bills that come to Parliament?
Our rules of procedure and indeed the Constitution provides that a member of Parliament, what we call a backbencher, we have people who sit on the front row, the cabinet ministers and the state ministers, and also we have members of Parliament who sit behind the ministers. Normally, laws are brought by the executive, which is the cabinet ministers, but also a private member, a backbencher, has a right, if he sees that there is something urgent, there is something that can help the society to help society, he has a right to move a private member's bill. This is a proposed law brought by a member, an ordinary member like me of Parliament. And if that law, if that bill does not have, or the government thinks that the current financial arrangement will cater for the law that is being proposed, then we seek for a private, rather a certificate of financial implications, which we really got. So this is the difference between a bill brought by government and a bill brought by an ordinary member of parliament. In this case, it's a bill brought by an ordinary member of parliament. But of course, it is supported by the majority member of parliament, not only from the ruling party, but also members of the opposition. I was seconded and supported by a member of the great party, UPC, and also members of the opposition on the FDC side, on all parties, CP, mentioned them, DP. We are all in this together. This is one of the common grounds that we have in Parliament.
Actually, that, you should say that's one of the very few common grounds that, that you find in Parliament, you know, like agreeing on anything, because most of the time you're disagreeing on every other thing. But before I go to Martin, once a private member's bill, once passed into law, gets the full force of law.
Certainly.
Okay.